Coach, you guys, the way the schedule falls, you got 4 games over a 7-day stretch.
Yeah.
What adjustments do you make at this point of the year to kind of keep everybody fresh?
Yeah, I think the main thing is with your practice time, you know, it's you got to really dial back how much you're doing in terms of banging and running. It's kind of getting in a mode where you're playing and then you're preparing to play the next game. And for us, obviously, we're going to have some guys who are going to log some high minutes. So being able to maximize those times in between games that's where your training staff comes in, your medical staff, nutrition, you know, being able to stay sharp, stay fresh. So every game you play, you're ready to go.
Forget his Fairfield. You guys pretty much switched every exchange, ball screen, even off ball screen on the perimeter. Is that more a function of their relative small size across the board?
Yeah, it was more scouting. I mean, we do some switching, but they were playing so many small guys, especially 1 through 4. You know, we're not going to switch with Alex and Joey. Just we don't want to get cross-matched like that. But you know, we feel like with our bigger wings that, you know, if a team's going to try to spread us out like that, the switching can be effective because it kind of keeps the guys in front of you and it makes them play over the top. So that'll be more game by game. And a lot of times when you play some of these teams from, you know, so-called mid-major, they're a little bit undersized. Yeah. So they have more skill guys, more guards, and you have to really communicate. And I actually was most impressed with, you know, that was a game the other night where earlier in his career, Alex would have been all out of sorts.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, guarding smaller players in major games.
And it just messed him up on both ends, you know, because he'd get frustrated, they pull him away from the basket, they drive by him, and I thought it was one of his best games just for that. Like, he was guarding a kid who was 6'2", who was trying to drive him. I thought he did a really good job. The kid made a couple buckets, but he was 4 for 13. And then he punished, and then I wasn't going to downsize. I told Alex, I said, I believe in you that you're going to do a good job, and then we're going to try to punish them on the other end, and that's what he was able to do. So to me, that was the biggest positive because that was a game in his career where normally he's had a hard time.
Definitely.
Fairfield, next opponent, 0-2, but the record really isn't indicative of where they're at right now. Playing #1 UNC really tough the last game, Marcus Gilbert, 25. Is there anything you guys foresee being a problem against them, even though they're a bit undersized?
Well, they showed that they can really shoot the basketball, and anytime they have a player on their team in Gilbert that, I mean, he puts 25 on Carolina, and he's 6'7". You know, he's a high major player who's just been a great player at Fairfield, and you know, I was really impressed with how hard they played. You know, I thought they, up until like the last 10 minutes where they just kind of ran out of gas, Carolina's athletes warmed down. I thought for 30 minutes they went toe-to-toe with Carolina. They competed, they battled. This is a game we got to play well. There's no question about it. I told our guys, you know, you look at their record and it says 0-2. Well, one of the games they played the #1 team in the country, and the other game they played Yale, who may end up being a top 25 team. I mean, Yale's the preseason pick to win the Ivy. And watching that film, I mean, Yale is terrific. So, I mean, they've played 2 outstanding teams. So for their, you know, it's not like they're going to come in here and be in awe of playing us. I mean, they're going to be confident because they've played a great schedule, and they're going to come in here ready to go. And that's why, you know, for us, we can't be looking at names on jerseys or anything. And I think our guys should learn the lesson. I mean, you guys have seen already the parity in college basketball this year is crazy. I mean, you got to show up to play whoever you play, and if you don't, you could lose to anyone. And they have our attention, they have our respect, and I know our guys are anxious to get back out there. I thought we really had that first half jitters in play. Thought we settled down. Was really pleased how we played after watching the film. Played a good second half, and hopefully that'll carry over into tomorrow's game.
And Alex Hull this week winning Big Ten Player of the Week first time. Talking to him earlier, he said that he expects to get a double-double every game.
Be nice.
As one of the most experienced centers in the conference, what are your expectations for the season?
Well, my expectations for him really aren't really quantified by the numbers. I mean, it'd be nice for him to get a double-double. We want him to be a presence every night. You know, I bet with his voice, with his stature, we have to establish him inside. If teams are going to try to double him, then I feel like we have the shooting to be able to spread people out. If they're not, then we need him to be a high scorer like he was the other night. You know, I think our main goal for him is, we've talked about it, I mean, his goal is to try to be the best big man on the floor. every time he plays. And with his experience, he's played his entire career against high-level competition. He's learned through some failures. He's very confident right now. And, I like the trajectory he's on. We just have to, continue to play well around him, because the better he plays, the more attention he's going to draw. And the thing is, I think that can be a good thing, because I think our ability to space with shooters can put teams in a tough spot if they choose to do that.
There were a few times against Lowell that Sanjay grabbed the rebound and you wanted him to push the ball up the floor by himself, but he just held to look for the outlet. Is that something that you definitely want him to be able to do, just grab and go?
At times, I'd prefer for him to outlet it, fill a lane. I'd really like to be able to get it to to BMAC or to Trey. And then I was thinking, because Vic was a third guy that I actually gave, that was one of the things Vic did really well. I want those other guys to try to find the guards if they can, and then fill lanes, just so our decision making But the thing is, if he gets it and we have a quick 3-on-2 or 2-on-1, he knows he can push. But I'd like for Aaron and Tap and Sanjay to kind of be finishers and try to get the ball in our playmakers' hands to make those plays.
Yeah, and then there was one instance in the second half. You guys were up 8, I believe, and Tap hit a 3, and you just showed a lot of emotion at that point. Is that something that you kind of need to manufacture for your players at times?
I do.
When things are going a little slow.
Yeah, I mean, I try to feel what the team needs, and I knew in that first half everyone was just anxious, and then the shots didn't go in, and then you get tighter when they don't go in, and then you're missing free throws. And I just felt at that point of the game we were going on a little bit of a run. We were starting to push, and I wanted them to feel emotion from me. And I think that as a coach, you just try to see what your team needs. Sometimes you got to calm down, because if they're real jittery, like the other night in the first half, I wasn't going nuts because I could tell they were nervous, and it wouldn't have done any good to go in the huddle and start reaming them out. And so actually we were very calm in the huddles in the first half. And then the second half, when we were going on a run, I felt like I needed to get more emotional just to get us going. And fortunately, the guys followed that and put on we played a good second half, which was encouraging to see.
Obviously, UNC and Fairfield have already played this year, so when you're watching that game, have you done your scouting for North Carolina yet, or were you focused only on Fairfield?
I was focused on Fairfield. I mean, the assistants do that in advance. We break up our scouts. All 3 of the assistants break them up in thirds. So obviously that you're going to be 3 games ahead. But I try really hard, even though they're both playing each other, to really lock in on who we're playing next, and not try to look ahead. I mean, obviously in Carolina's case, I have a pretty good feel of what they try to do. So I kind of know, it doesn't mean you can stop it, but I know kind of what they're trying to accomplish, and the things they do are things they've done for 40 years. So I was really locked in on Fairfield and trying to figure out how we could best attack them.
One question. Last year, Brian played 33, 34 minutes or something. And it seemed like he sort of wore down towards the end of the year.
No, he did.
Would that like make you more hesitant to play Aaron big minutes, because there's minutes available now?
I mean, and hopefully Aaron doesn't have to be a guy that's got to be into the high 30s. I feel like, with Tap and Sanjay and Gavin, you have some guys who can spell. I think he was at 22 last game. I'd like to see Aaron, if we could get him in the mid to high 20s. That would be good. A lot of it the other night, he got in foul trouble. And that's something with the new rules. He's got to keep his hands off guys, especially he's not the best laterally. So he's got to be able to play with his hands and not get in foul trouble. But yeah, there's no question. I mean, heavy minutes for a freshman, especially if you're not a freak athlete. And that's nothing to demean him, but he's a good athlete. He's not a great athlete. So the more minutes, the more banging, you have a tendency to wear down. So hopefully with some of our depth at forward, we can help him with that.
What did you see from Gavin for the short starts that he came in against?
I want Gavin to be an energy guy. Again, Gavin can play more minutes, but Gavin's going to be more when you go more towards a power lineup. So it might be in a game like a North Carolina or Purdue, you go to a Gavin at the 4 more than one of those other guys, because you need that physicality. The game we played the other night, it was 5 guards. So, we stayed kind of small 1 through 4 to match up to that. And what we've tried to tell our guys, everyone knows our guards are going to play a lot of minutes. The other positions really, I don't want our guys to go nuts. It could be a game by game. if someone's got it going, I'm going to go with that guy. And there can't be attitude problems. Like, you might play one game, you might play 5 minutes, and then because of matchups, you play 25 in the next game. So we're still working through that. Again, I got to try to find a few minutes here and there for Jordan. You know, that was the one thing coming out of that game. You know, the way that game went early, I stayed with the vets. We got down 9, you know, and so, you know, looking at it myself, like, I got to find time, you know, around the timeouts and to give B-Mac and Trey a little more rest so that they're fresher for the second half. And, you know, that game the other night, you know, we're trying to win our opener, and you're down 25-16. You know, you're going to tend to stay with older guys. So, you know, I think you see a little more Jordan, you know, moving forward, especially earlier in the games.